So I was doing some thinking. Actually, yesterday, while I was talking about hard things, painful things, I had this sudden recall of a story from way back when. And I thought maybe, just maybe, this story might be worth sharing because it might bless someone else. Thanks, guys, for jumping on. I love to hear that you're here with me. So if, as you hear this story, maybe, just maybe, it touches you or touches someone you know, I'd love if you would share it. If you would comment and let me know, because it's kind of a work in progress story. It's a little rough around the edges, you know, and so I could really use your feedback. Also, if you notice that any of these Facebook Lives are of value to you, you certainly could tune in to my YouTube channel, which I'll post in the comments below. But the story. All right, so let me paint the scene for you. I am an Iowa girl. I have lived in Iowa, holler for Iowa, for most of my life. I think all but 3 to 5 years of my 40 years have been here in this state. And I remember when I was a little thing, my family, which consisted of my mom and my dad, we moved to this tiny little rural town. Just to give you an idea of how rural this town is, on the outskirts, the welcome sign to the town said, "Welcome to the home of the Everly cattle feeders." That was my town. And you know what? Those years growing up in that little tiny town where it was the in thing to have a big old brass belt buckle and cowboy boots and even a cowboy hat, which I had none of those things. I love you, Mom, but I had none of those things, so I felt a little uncool. Well, I was a town girl, if you can call a town of maybe on a good day, a town of a couple hundred people, a town. But I was a town girl, and my very best friend, I think this would have been circa like first grade, was a little girl by the name of Penny. And Penny was a farm girl. And she lived on a farm that I thought was amazing because, you guys, in first grade, I was completely captivated and enthralled by Laura Ingalls Wilder and Little House on the Prairie books. I thought, gosh, I was a girl that was made for the prairie. And so my best friend, Penny, lived on a farm, but it was no ordinary farm, you guys. It was no ordinary farm. On this particular farm, her dad raised buffalo. Is that not the coolest thing ever? So when I would go to Penny's house, we would do things like paint each other's nails, and then 5 minutes later, we'd be outside in the big open field, and her dad would be showing us these baby buffalo. When we would eat bison burgers, and when it was time for us to sleep, we would sleep under bison or buffalo hide blankets. It was an experience to be true. Well, one day, her dad, who I thought was amazing, this big scruffy guy with big gruff grizzly beard. He looked like Pa, like my version of Pa in Little House on the Prairie. He called us outside and he said, "Girls, I want to tell you a story." And obviously, if I remember this story to this day, so many years later, it must have been an important story. So here's the story for all of you. He said, "Girls, living on the plain of Iowa, you know that very often we have storms. We have dust storms, we have tornadoes, we have thunderstorms, right, that come and they brew, especially through the summer months." And he said, Storms are always going to come. He was so wise. The storms are always going to come. But out of all of the animals on this farm, there's a lesson to be learned by watching the buffalo. Because he said every other animal, when there's a storm brewing, they get skittish and antsy. They start to dig and look for an area for protection. Not the buffalo. Not the buffalo. The buffalo, they go together straight out into the field. And they form a straight line. Little buffalo, big buffalo, everyone in between. And they stand shoulder to shoulder. And they face the storm. And as the storm comes across the horizon, these buffalo, they march stoically directly into the storm. Can you picture it? This line of solid buffalo walking shoulder to shoulder into the storm. And he said the wisdom of the buffalo is that they understand that one, they are much stronger together than they ever would be apart. And two, they understand that by walking into the storm, they will more quickly walk through and out of it. And out of it. You guys, isn't this a beautiful, beautiful story on pain? You know, in the business and in my personal life, I think about how do I respond to pain? How do people respond to pain? We tend to do, I've talked about this before, fight, flight, or freeze. That's a trauma response to pain. We fight, we get angry, we show our teeth and our nails. We scream, we holler, we get ugly. It's a survival mechanism. We fly, we run away, we try to hide, we dig dirt, we scramble, we do whatever we can to get away from the place of pain. Or we numb, we eat, we spend. We seek out any way possible to numb any emotion associated with pain. But as a person in the healing profession, I've learned, and I'm learning, that at some point, if we're going to heal, we have to walk. Better if walking with others who have our side by side. And we walk together in, with, and through the place of pain. You see, we can't fight it. We can't fly away from it. And at the end of the day, all of the numbing won't get us anywhere. Buffalo are wise. They are so wise. I think we all could learn a thing or two, don't you think? So, thank you for joining me today for these quick thoughts right here from my kitchen. I would love to hear your thoughts. Have you been touched by the story of the buffalo today? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Have a fabulous, fabulous Wednesday. Much love to you. Live loved. Live loved in a world, well, this world that we live in this day. The biggest thing that we have to offer, you guessed it, love. Bye, guys.